All right. Alrighty then. I am going to finish getting set up here in just a second. I'm going to mute this. All right. Better. Alrighty. Shit. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to do a little bit of touch-up sculpting. Touch up. Heretics. And then just get into the grip. So I'm probably going to put some music on in the background. So if that is too much, let me know and I can turn it down. But yeah, I'm just going to be doing this for a while, and I'm going to be looking up and reading chat and chatting, talking, all the usual stuff. I cannot have music on in the background if you guys are opposed to that, but it's just kind of chill typically. I'm going to put music on. It's also already on, so it is what it is. All right. Floor. All right. As far as doing the sculpting, I have no idea where my big acrylic block that I used to sculpt on is. Oh god, my tools. Sculpting tools. Box sculpt. Tight. I don't need to get tight. Where the fuck is a solid inch acrylic block that's covered in Nivea hand cream. Like, put it in there. Nope. Where the fuck did I put that? Bear with me. Also, if Ariana is too damn loud, I can absolutely turn that down. Or I can just put headphones on. But I figured maybe people would want to listen to some Ari too. Who's to say? Alright, fuck it. I'm gonna have to use just something else. Gloves. So anyone that is listening to this later on, or anyone that's listening to this currently, why that would be important, I like using a very large flat block of acrylic while sculpting. I put my Nivea hand cream on there while I'm working. It's just an easy place to put all of my clay, the hand cream. I'm not going to be messing with a lot of it today. I'm just doing very basic filling. I'm not going to be doing any fun, like really detailed sculpting today. So that's why the green stuff is not out. If we're just doing epoxy, it's just going to be filling. Because then we're going to be putting grit over it. Not right now, because we do not have enough time between now and how long this is going to take to dry. That is a key part of how I hobby, is understanding the process in which you should do things in order to get them done quickly, so everything lines up the way that it should. That's a key part of how I do things. Let me grab my water. I found it. It was on top of the acrylic case that holds all of my quick disposable kind of stuff that I use frequently. Turns out having a clear piece of plastic on top of another clear piece of plastic Not a good spot for that. I need to put it somewhere else where I'm going to see it. So, without that, I'm going to turn that down. Ari might be a little too loud. I'm so sorry. But you need to listen to Ari anyway. So, amongst the other sounds in my basement, which is Greeblin over there, working on the third level of the woodsmith's house. I since streamed this morning, I did glue the top fully together. Looks very good. So now when it sits on top of there, looks pretty dope. Very, very good detail. Honestly, insanely good detail. And once I put epoxy sculpt inside these small cracks and go back over that with all of the grit, you're never going to see those seams. It's going to be very, very, very seamless. That way, it does not just take away from the game. I really, the goal here again is to. I've never made an entire game board in my style. And now I'm going to make a bunch of them. I'm really excited about that. I love making terrain. I love every bit of all of this. So having something to actually work towards, it's really cool. But first, because of order of operations, we need to put a little bit of clay on some guys, just so those can be working on drying while I'm working on this other stuff. That's loud. I'm going to need to move those elsewhere. Or I'm going to need to actually bust out my other microphone. Which, again, I can do that. It's all a matter of what do you want to see? Do you want to see more stuff of me doing the stuff and getting things ready, or I could take that time and set things up and try to dial it in? But unfortunately, with most of this stuff, and just explain what I'm doing here, and I'll work over here that way. I'm gonna lower my seat. And get in here real quick. Looks good, right? So, here, I'm just water in here. So epoxy sculpt likes water, not too much. Put too much on there, then essentially it is going to, well, I mean, you can. It depends what you're wanting to do with it. If you are wanting to do what I am doing here, you do not want too much, because that is going to cause the epoxy sculpt to almost like start to silt, like to become like a little skin, a slip, I believe is the correct term. It's very good for that if that's what you're trying to do with it. That's why epoxy sculpt is so awesome for certain aspects of sculpting and other work in the hobby. It's definitely my favorite material to work in if I'm just straight sculpting, because of its properties. It does not hold detail anywhere like Metatite can or green stuff. However, it can be sanded, it adds durability, it's a fraction of the price. There's so many benefits to using epoxy sculpt mixed with Metatite or green stuff. Epoxy green, as modern synthesist Mr. Pink, my buddy Nick, likes to call it, which he absolutely is a converter for me. I am a converted. I'm one of the converted to his teachings. Number one, Nivea hand cream. Seriously, this stuff, if you're not using this on your tools, stop and go buy some, because like every aspect of what you're trying to do will be made easier. Legendary Nivea, my mother's favorite. It's good, dude. I can't stress enough. Like, I don't remember how much this bottle or this tub was. I want to say it was close to like 20, 25. That's a lot. I bought this. I mean, it's been multiple years. It's been at least 4 or 5 years, and it's 4 or 5 years that I've done like a lot of sculpting, and I haven't used half of it. And maybe I don't, lather my tools as much as I need to, or my hands, but I feel like I do a pretty good job. But it's an absolute game changer. That and seriously, epoxy sculpt mixed with Neatatite green stuff. Again, and if you're actually like serious about like, oh, I want to learn how to sculpt, I want to do that. Do not buy anything smaller than the 2 pounds. It is more expensive, but if you're like really wanting to do it, that's the other like the smaller like size that they sell is it's an insane markup. This is, I think, best bang for your buck. If I could go back in time and do it again, I would only have bought 2 pounds or more. I would have bought more. But at the same time, I mean, you see how full they are. I haven't, since getting the little ones, it's just, the little ones are like $20, and it's like $40. It's like twice as much, but you're getting 200 to 400 times as much. It's one of those kind of situations. So if you actually are interested in sculpting and you are wanting to do that, the stuff does not go bad as long as you keep it sealed. From my experience, now I'm sure that's also, Nick, Modern Synthesis, Hydra. I'm sure they can give much better information on how long this stuff actually stays from their experience, because again, they are the ones who converted me to using it. But holy cow, I wish I had known about the idea of mixing my sculpting materials when I had started sculpting, because it seriously is a game changer, between the consistency that it makes green stuff and how much easier it makes it for you to work with, or at least for me, and everyone else that I've talked to. Especially the fact that you can then sand it, because that is one of the biggest downsides in my experience, in my opinion, with green stuff just by itself, or Neatatite, depending on where you get it, what you're calling it. But yeah, the biggest downside for me has always been that it is very gummy and it holds detail, but you cannot sand it. You cannot scrape it in certain directions once you put it on there. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, green stuff, just straight green stuff. When you go back, if you're like me, and you're like, man, I don't like that, I want to change this about it, or I want to, do this or that or the other, it's often that you will find that the green stuff was not fully, there are little itty bitty air pockets in there because of just how it cures and just how the mixing process, and that could be on me as well. But at this point in time, I don't think it is. I've messed with it enough. I think it just doesn't have the same, it's just not, the same kind of chemical components. But when you mix the two together, they get the best of both worlds. And then you are able to get the detail of Neatatite, the sanding abilities and capabilities of epoxy sculpt, as well as, oh boy, when you start cutting it, that green stuff goes a lot further, a whole lot further. Like, and again, like for this kind of stuff, I'm not putting detail in, I'm just filling, and that's just straight epoxy sculpt. It's going to be dry. I'd say probably, I would feel confident that I could put paint on this couple hours, but I think 24 hours is technically when they say it actually is fully chemically set. But I know from like working on stuff while I've been under time crunches, typically within a couple of hours, it's at a point that I'm like, I think I could put paint on there and it won't. I know it is still inside changing, but exterior wise, the like skin has set. It has a skin. So, hey, you know who's not sculpting in front of the camera? This guy. Sorry about that. Maybe I should change the camera angle, or I should just sculpt like this because I'm wearing my glasses. And I was about to take them off so I could lean in closer, but don't need to do that. His shoulder is a little wonky there. I need to take that in. A little wonky, but now it's fixed. It's okay. I can only really listen now anyhow. Chill, chill. Is Ariana too loud? Hopefully not. If Ariana is audible at all. My apologies. Been on a big Ari kick for years. Yeah. So pretty much just filling this shoulder in. And while that still doesn't look as great as I would like it to, it is enough that I can throw some texture and kind of hear something, but not clearly. All right, I might turn it off just because I don't want it to be distracting for anybody. I was hoping that it wouldn't pick up too much, or it would just be the background noise. But yeah, okay. I think I definitely need to. Let's readjust the camera so this is where it's in focus. Oh, okay. Well, then Ari gets to stay. There we go. It's on par with like the whirring. Oh, hell yeah, then. Yeah, no. So that is the, actually, this is where I like to have my hands on sculpting. So this looks good. If this is looking good, oh yeah, there we go. Hell yeah. It's like now you can see through my eyes. Actually, it's better than seeing through my eyes. That's like really, really high def. But yeah, I don't think I'm physically seeing that like in that detail. Yeah, so that's good. I'm happy with that, and while it is not perfect, I can go back in once this dries, and I can cut away a little bit of that, or I can just do it right there. There we go. I should just do it now. I'm just trying to think this through. It's going to have this little cloak extended over there a little bit, so I don't want too much of the arm to be too high because this is going to come over. But I think that looks good. I'm happy with that. And that will be covered. And that I will scrape down. So yeah, that's one boy done, or girl, or none of the above. This is one heretical priest of any manner of their choosing. Done. All right, now we're gonna fill in these arm holes. Again, I'm not doing anything super detailed. I'm just going to be putting stuff in here so it will harden and he will have an arm as opposed to having a hand. Oh no. Some of the super glue that was holding his arm in place just broke. But with a little bit of faith, I think we've made it through. Yeah, I'm going to need to put some super glue on that, but I'm going to try to resist it as long as I can. Oh no, I'm not going to be able to resist it very long. Shit. Okay. 1 second. Super glue. Right. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Nick was literally talking to me yesterday about getting super glue on your tools, and how that's just gonna happen. And I'm fighting it. I'm fighting that. I'm fighting that. The inevitable. I'm not gonna get super glue on any of my sculpting tools again. I've done it too much, too many times. And it's always extremely saddening. I don't know if this super glue is out. It's out. It's cached. We cached it. We cached the super glue. I like to keep the tops. The good bits. And then I grab another super glue. And hopefully it doesn't explode out. No. All right. Just put a little super glue on there. And then just come in with a little bit of zip kicker and bam. So zip kicker is really cool. That's another thing that's awesome. Super glue accelerator. You spray that and pretty much that super glue is now done. Obviously there's a lot of things that go with that. Hey, be really careful when you're using this. I think that's a given. I feel like everything I do on this channel though should be taken with like the, hey, be careful and use common sense. I realize one of the big things is going to be anytime you see me using a knife, I am fully prepared and I am fully aware that I do not need to cut towards myself. However, after doing that for like 26 years, I feel like the way that I use a hobby knife is not so much the way that normal people do. It's much more like whittling. I just whittle with plastic. And I typically do not get hurt unless I'm trying to quote unquote do something safely, which is what I'm not used to doing these days. It's typically when I'm trying to cut something that's too thick and I have to put it on the mat, actually cutting downwards. But if I take my time and just cut really slowly and whittle bits away, I don't really get hurt because my thumbs are pretty much nothing but calluses at this point, which is good and bad. From guitar and using my finger as a backstop my entire life. Not just with a hobby knife, but with a pocket knife, with whatever kind of knife. It's just kind of the most, like a peeling of an apple is, that's how I use most of my cutting tools. We're gonna get a little bit more super glue in there because I don't want to deal with that taking as long as it's going to like set while I am trying to sculpt. And yeah, you can see that it is now connected to the epoxy sculpt, but it's not connected to the arm because the epoxy sculpt is not glued to the arm. It has to sit there still. I'm just trying to get some sense of fixed point. It's because that handle broke. Yeah. So, and that super glue accelerator that I sprayed on there has already fast activated. So it's, I'll have to go add a little bit of grit over there. Okay, so now that is there, I almost did it. I'm not going to use my nice soft tips, I'm going to use this piece of metal because I know that there is super glue now over there. We almost did it. Not getting me, not today. Get behind me, Meta Satan. Man, I had absolutely no idea what this arm was originally based out of. Because it looks pretty wonky now that I'm looking at it, but it's fine. I wanted to use the bit. It needs to come down. Like a lot. Okay. Shit. There. That's where it needs to be. And this is not going to be there. It needs to be up here. Somehow that got slipped up. I'm guessing whenever I was pushing on it. That's something. This one up. Okay. So not down top. So should push it over. And pull this down. Push that in there. Trying to work with the super glue while providing it something to have a grip with, while also trying to roughly keep the same size proportions for the arms. I think I did a pretty good job. Let's see. Yeah. That comes down just a slight bit. Like that. So, not breaking it entirely, but okay. That would actually have been a much easier bit. I think it's probably just, hey, let me make a little arm shape here. So now I can see visually, yeah, that is the same size. And then I can go and glue this here, where it actually belongs, and move the arm however it needs to be. So, that. That's great. And then in a couple hours this will be dry and I'll come back and I'll do something else with it. Probably putting some texture because I'm just kind of getting tired of filling little holes and I'm ready to move on to the terrain. Okay. This needs some touch up. That is going to need to be drilled, but I don't have to do any filling on that, so this one's done, that one's done. And then Trenh, his body. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Just going to fill in that hole. And yes, I'm absolutely going to go back and sculpt some real gnarly bone. I'm going to make that look real nasty, and there's definitely going to be blood coming out of that, forming the words. Just for playing sake, I want to fill certain spots. This song's such a bop. This album's a bop. Okay. Shit. I just realized that I've not been doing that where you all can see that. There you go. I assume that the album compositions by Ariana Grande was intended to be listened to while working on stuff for Trench Crusade. That's the vibe I get. Alright, and I wasn't going to do the hand. I said I wasn't going to do it. Damn it. I just can't help myself. I feel that bit energy. Again, messing with that super glue. I'm just trying to ruin my tools. Come on. Let's try. I just forgot that I just did it. Alrighty. Actually, I don't know if I put super glue on there yet. Maybe I did. It's not acting like it is because it's very much still labeling. Now again, the reason that I'm really down with this is because I can be looser with how accurate I want that hand to look, and because it is epoxy sculpt, I can come back in here afterwards and like scrape the extra and like file it down with a hobby knife to get very accurate how I want it to look. I could not do that if it was green stone. I could, it's much more spongy, and it won't hold what I'm wanting to do as well. It'll have much more of a tendency to want to just be cut, not scraped. That's the key difference. So that's that. Yeah, I'm just picking this guy back up and looking. Chunk of super glue that I sprayed in there to yep, so here is the actual epoxy sculpture. That's what's getting real messy in there. And that's why we don't want to use our nice little silicone tip tools. We want to stick to the metal tools or we will ruin our color shapers. So we want to stick with metal and we want to try to work this back up. Super glue glob, while it probably would have been fine if I needed to shape that more, that would not be something that we could shape because it's predominantly super glue. It's just blended with the epoxy sculpt, which it would do that, and that was what I was wanting it to do, but I had hoped that it would do it more like the shape that I was hoping it was going to take instead of doing whatever the hell it kind of wanted to. Okay, so that's just a basic arm shape, and we can definitely go back in there and fix that up later if we want to, but I think for right now we're okay because we're going to be putting a lot more grit and whatnot on there. So now these are going to go over with the others. And I can move my sculpting stuff because now we're going to be into the grit section. The main event, as they say. Looks like rain outside. So this backdrop that you're seeing is a 2x2 board that I made for, zoom in here a little bit. There you go. Yeah, so this is a 2x2 board that I made. Initially, the intention was for using it in Forbidden Psalm, but I never got to actually putting the detail, like making the board. I did make another one that I think I've shown before. I don't want to dig it out, but I'll go over how I did that later as well. That is essentially a bunch of corkboard that it's just supposed to look like cobblestone, to be used for, say, like a little village, Mordheim kind of esque situation. This one, the intent was to make almost like a small little mud kind of field, which is why I kind of left it as is, but I mainly just use this as a workstation while working on the Child Inverted and all of those demons for Visterion. This is what I worked on them on to kind of just be really messy and not care about getting it all over the table and whatnot. And with that said, it's now kind of just naturally, with the extra glue and the grit that I have thrown on there, it kind of now has a nice little texture itself. So it would absolutely work if I ever did have the intention of painting it and using it like a game board. I just need to do that more in certain sections. So here is how I do a lot of my hobby work. A lot of it is done with texture. And the reason I do that is because it adds realism in a different sense of realism. Nothing is really flat. Like even this table is not flat. It's very smooth. And this is not a good table's not a good example. Armor, clothes, anything like that, fabric, everything has texture to it. So I like to add at least some scuff, some grit, something to almost everything, unless it's supposed to truly be smooth, because it catches inks and paint and your eye. Grit helps add realism, and it also helps add lots of depth. And that is, I think, depth in all senses is what truly, I think, is how you can elevate models to like art, its intent, all those things. But yeah, so that's why. Now I'll show you how. I am going to take a quick break, drink some water, and run to the bathroom, and then I'm going to be right back. So I will be here in like a couple minutes, a minute. I'll be right back. I would say that one of my children will come entertain you, but they won't. They are all sleeping. I just have to pee. I'll be right back. Alrighty. So, you know, shout out to my boy Tyler, Billion Dollar Clown Farm, for hitting me back up with some PVA glue. Glue skins. Gross. 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 Okay. So we want this to be pretty wet. Also, shout out to my wonderful wife. She is the one who provided me with my favorite water bottle. It was also made in America. It's called the Sally applicator. I recommend it if you're like, hey, I need a nice little water bottle to keep on my desk. That's how fast, like, it kind of naturally, like if I hold it upside down, I guess it doesn't, you don't apply any pressure, it doesn't really come out. So that's actually really good. But essentially, yeah, just putting a whole bunch of water in here with this glue, because we want to be able to paint it on there, essentially. I've been saving these ramen cups. I'm going to try to do this with the least amount. I'm going to tie my pants first. Shorts, man. I like shorts because they're easy to wear, but... So, yeah, this is going to be for putting our grit in, just to keep things kind of somewhat flowing well. Alright, so we've got 3 different kinds of stuff we're going to be putting on here. Dirt from the floor. So this is literally, it's what it says on the tin. Every time I do any kind of something, pretty much cleaning up, it goes in here, unless it's too big. If it's too big, then I have another one that I'm pretty sure just says trash from the bin. Yeah, dirt from the floor, trash from the bin. So that's how I keep them separated. As you can see, there's like some sticks in there, so like it's pretty. There's a lot of just different crap. This is going to be, again, my favorite hermit crab sand. There is a name for this. There's a certain type. There's a name. There's a term for sand that is made specifically from crushed seashell, but that is what this is. If you go to the pet store, you can buy this. It's very, 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 very thin, and it does not, once it gets wet, it does not break down like baking soda does. So baking soda is going to be the next thing down from here that I use. Baking soda, though, it becomes almost like a slurry, like a paste. And then this is just more hermit crab sand. So I don't think I'm going to need that much, but after that, the main things that I use, and these, so this is just basic basing sand. This is a mix of ballast from probably some desert tundra kind of stuff that I got from GW 20 years ago, mixed with ballast from numerous like woodland scenic like sets, like around the same grade, from the same time. I had them in a very, very large dishwasher pods, like kind of container, like a very large, like Tupperware. And this is all that's left at this point. So I've almost used all of it, but other than that, I use Brita filter, the insides of Brita filters for a lot of stuff. So I have them sorted by thickness. This is Brita filter 1, so this is the absolute finest, like, grit that will come out of a Brita filter. It is a little bit thicker than hermit crab sand, but very inconsistent. And that is why I like it. That's why I like all of these. So, I don't know where Brita filter 2 is. Oh, here it is. So, Brita filter sand 2 looks very similar. It's going to be, in all of these, it's just literally taking different size strainers after cutting open Brita filter, and doing that specifically to get the plastic top that I use for Trenh on a lot of projects like that. So for Trenh, I use those for all kinds of things. The Walker had various pieces of different kinds of filters. And then the insides are great for basing as long as they are dried out. So I essentially took those and I ran them through 4 different sized strainers, and each size, because they're all from different brands. The insides of each one of these filters is so varied and inconsistent that the shape, the color, the size of what is inside varies insanely wild. So each one of these, even though, like Brita filter 3 is predominantly the little micro beads, and then 4 is the biggest pieces of charcoal, and some larger micro beads. The micro beads also themselves are not consistent across like a brand or a type. So it's just a very interesting way for me to quickly grab a lot of different varied textures. And again, because most of my work, like the painting, is done kind of with texture. My painting really it's pretty basic. I like to use colors that I do not paint heavy metal style. I try to paint as close to realistic as I can. So I like to paint skin like skin is. I like to have flesh of like a meat, and then I build up the skin tone, whatever flesh it is, like a very thin coating. That's how I get my upsetting kind of skin tones. And then the same with gore. Everything that I do, really, I think of painting like I think of sculpting, and I think of sculpting like I think of like creating. All of it is just layer after layer, making one thing after the other, and I just kind of apply that to every aspect. And once I really understood that everything was just that, it took a lot of stress off of me, and it made me able to just think about how I want to make what I want to make. And then all like the quick little hacks that I've just kind of picked up and developed that just help me get quicker to the outcome. And some of them are just, stolen from friends here and there. A lot of them, Johnny. I've so much of how I get my shit done now is just taken from Johnny, and just fuck it, just grab the spray paint and go do it in the street. Like, that mindset, that's how I get stuff done. If I hadn't had that mindset, I wouldn't have had any of those demons done at all, like, for November. But thinking about it like that and breaking everything down in that manner really changed how I work, and I think it did it for the better. So now I've got that. Now I need to get some grit, and I need to pick a different album, because now it's just playing whatever it wants. And I do like Lady Gaga, but I was listening to Ari, so So there's that. Another pro tip: trash brushes. Gotcha. Are you basing stuff or just showing what you use? Oh yeah, I'm doing the thing. Hi Adam. And yes, of course. But as your father calls me, Katya. I love Katya. Kelly got me this, I think, for my birthday. I was so excited. I love Katya so much. Katya is on the list of people that I want to have in my basement to play Trench Crusade because I know Brian would be so fucking into it because of all the tattoos and all the weird shit that they collect. Like, it's just like, hell yeah. I would be real pumped to play Trench Crusade with Katya. So fucking funny. One of my absolute favorite drag queens. So on that note, I am gonna, but yeah, I am Adam. I talked about it on my stream, but I should have posted something on Instagram. But I really am just I'm just trying to do the thing as fast as possible, so I can actually get to what I think people will really want to watch. But I am just trying to take a bunch of, my Warcry sets, all of my GW terrain that are supposed to be just like, all right, here we go, put it on the table, let's go. And I'm trying to make them fitting aesthetically and tonally for Trench Crusade, like any of the missions or anything like that, to use on my mud board. And through that, I am hoping to get as good of an idea as I can about what kind of tiles I want to make, because I want to be able to, tiles are just so much more portable than that 4x4 monster. I want to be able to take tiles to Hard Knocks or other events, places like that, and use them. So yeah, first up is all the Warcry stuff that like Kelly and I have been, debasing, removing all of the iconography from. I'm going to be putting grit on that, all this stuff. And then after that, I might move into accessories. Like I don't know how many I have. I bought 4 boxes of the Kill Team because it was the best deal for the money. Like, the Kill Team for a while, they discontinued it so quick because they were like, oh, we were losing money on that, and I took advantage of it. But it came with 4, yeah, 4. I think I have 12, so it came with 3. It came with 3 of those containers, and then a bunch of barrels, and then a bunch of ammo crates, and then the sector like Mechanicus like little tractors. And I bought 4 of those. And I've got them all put together, and I was going to use them for Necromunda with Kelly and stuff, but it's just like, man, all of that just needs to become stuff for Trench Crusade. So I think the containers, I think, are going to be a train. I think they're going to be a train, or they are going to be a tunnel system, like a fancy tunnel system, not a trench, like for like a military or Inquisition facility. And then my ZM board, I am going to be making into essentially a compound, like an internal compound, kind of for like military, that kind of stuff, but based on the same things. Or tunnel system, and I'm leaning towards that one. I'm leaning towards having it look like it's... Actually, no. I remember now. I said Fort Vaux. That's done. It's done. It's Fort Vaux. I forgot. I'm so excited about that. Man. Needy's such a good song, too. This whole album's good. Thank you, Nex. Such a good album. Talk about concept albums. We were talking about that the other day. Thank You Next and Positions are both concept albums, in my very firm opinion. Apparently, I don't think a lot of people got that. I love Ariana Grande. She is, I've always been a very big fan of her. Like, her voice, it's just has a very pretty voice. But also, it's just like the best VF1 map is Monograppa. Monograppa's great, but I don't know, man. Amiens, Amiens, Amien, Amien, Amiens, is Amiens. Yeah, Amiens. Amiens is probably my favorite because it's just the bridges. Man, the bridges are always there's just so many spots that are just so intense. But man, Monograppa is also amazing because you do have the planes and the blimp. Man, there's just so many good things in that. I don't remember what I was going with that. Oh yeah, Ariana Grande. Something visceral about seeing people appear from out behind rocks at close quarters. Oh hell yeah, possum! It's just brutal as shit. Yeah, I like Ariana Grande just because she somehow slipped into the Dead Boy Club that I listen to. I have a tendency to just, and I realize this is something that I've started doing. I don't know if I talked about it. I know I talked about it with my wife, but I don't think I've talked about it on here. So I probably would have got emotional. But yeah, I realize that I have a tendency. I've been listening specifically to young rappers, young artists who are now dead, that were very aware that they were dying, and have written albums, and like most of them have been released posthumously. Like that's a whole like genre that I've just unconsciously, like subconsciously, been listening to around the time my cousin died. And Ari has popped in there because of her relationship with Mac Miller. And this doesn't have anything to do with Trench Crusade. It just has to do with a me thing. And my, I guess, the whole why I want to do what I want to do, why I appreciate what I appreciate. I listen to a lot of upbeat poppy stuff, but I typically listen to stuff that if you listened to Clipping's new album, Dead Channel Sky, I have not. But I will give it a try. I am ashamed to say that I did not know Kendrick had put out a new album until Greg told me, because again, I was just hermiting so hard that I was on that I only listened to Renaissance and Waking Ada grind again, where it's just like, no, I have to go into crazy mode to make demons, or I'll never get it done in time. But no, I will definitely check that out. Seems very Neuromancer inspired. Well, I love that. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I need to get to doing this. So I also got to grab a mason jar. I just tore my glove. What the heck? I guess I don't really need a glove. Oh no, I need a glove. Oh boy, kiddos. Looks like storms are brewing out there. Wait a minute. That's a glove item. Alrighty. So we're gonna get gritty. And I don't mean hockey. I just realized that I'm like near the mic, so like all that, the gloves. What type of glue is that? So, Adam, I don't know if you were here for me explaining this joke of why this is funny, but it's PVA glue. It's PVA glue, really watered down, but being the goofball that I am, I had it in a cup that I just labeled "You Know," which is a reference to my brother, and me, because Griffin does a bit where he applies for a job with a teleprompter, and one of the things that he has it say is, Griffin is young, dumb, and full of and like he's letting it do it while he's looking at the guy who's giving him the interview. So that was just that joke. The reason why I find this really, really, really funny is I took these to Adepticon for me. Like, I didn't intend for anyone to see them. I took them because I needed them to finish Frustration. So I've got these 3 cups, and one says Hermit Crab Sand, one says Baking Soda, and then one just says and it looks like really gross, milky white. Yeah, it's just not good. And sure enough, while I was doing that, Tyler, $1 Billion Clown Farm, was just like, hey, do you have any PVA glue I could use? And I was like, actually, I do. And I gave it to him, and I was like, oh, by the way, it's in this, and it says on top of it. So you can use as much of it as you want, but everyone's going to think you're a weirdo, and I'm sorry. It's that kind of a joke. I appreciate the humor of it. It's like intentionally self-sabotaging myself by having a printer named Cuties and a printer named Kitties, and starting with one being solely like little anime boys and girls with cat ears, and then slowly turning into just little anime boys and girls wearing fake cat ears. So vice versa. It's the joke is that eventually I wanted it to be self-sabotaging, but I don't know which one it is. Just because I thought that'd be a funny bit. And it was. And I'm over it. But yeah, so what we're going to do is I'm probably going to hit these with one of these brushes first. These are just really shitty old brushes that I've done this with a lot. And I am just pretty much getting all the excess plastic out of here because I want to make sure that the glue sticks to the actual model itself. This is a very similar thing I do to everything. Whether or not it is a small model or a big one, I just scale essentially how hard I scratch and how intense the material I'm scratching it with. Like while painting, I do a lot of stippling with just a wet brush. A lot of times just getting a little bit of the paint that I just put on off, and I just kind of do that over and over. And it's a very organic. Would a wire work? Yeah, absolutely. So as long as it's a fake smile's good song. So essentially that's kind of what these are. These are just like these are nylon, like really cheap nylon. So wire, as long as it's like, I think wire would definitely work on this kind of stuff. But it might be, the one that I have is too firm. It would scratch. But if you had like a wiggly one that had flexibility to it, it would be good. Yeah, like a regular brush is not enough, but these like cheap, dirty nylon ones are good and enough to like get in there and get scratchy, and I'm not worried about them. Games Workshop had one for a while that I use, and it's the same one that I use like for painting still, but it's almost on it. It's a way out. I would say everyone else would tell me that it's already dead. Like, not only is it dead, like it's been dead for years. Like that I should have thrown it away. But it's I don't even know what kind of hair it is, but it's not good. It's not good hair. It's like straw, but it's great for stippling and like scratching, and getting a lot of texture. And that I think it's the same concept, I guess, that Joe Kindberger, his art evokes that, and it's on a two-dimensional like surface, and I absolutely love his work. He is, I would say, probably my favorite artist. I definitely own more of his work than anyone else's, that's for sure. If he pretty much, and I've said this every time, but if he posts something on his Etsy that is a cat, if it's cat related, you are racing me, world. Everyone is racing me, because the moment I find it, I just buy it. Like I don't look at the price. I just buy it because I have to have it. And I'll deal with that later, because his stuff is, it's my favorite. And then it's just whenever he does like things that I love, it's just like, oh my gosh, I have to have this. It has to go on my wall, because it's just, there's something about having a vision of something that means so much to me or that I love so much. Seeing my favorite artists take on that, those are the things that really make me happy. And yeah, it's kind of like, I realize now, I wish that I had just left Teus, my Dreadnought, with Greg and Turbo Dork, because I don't honestly know. I don't know if I'm, how much 30K I'm going to be playing. I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know. I know who I am, and I know how long it's probably going to be before I get back into wanting to paint or play 30K, especially given my newfound love of Trench Crusade. But I don't know. I feel like it would have been a better use of the model than sitting in my display case. Would be showing, you know, allowing Turbodor to have that in their case when they go places, to say, yeah, you can use our paints to achieve a grimdark style. Because while I am absolutely planning on only showcasing that here, I can't be everywhere at once. But Teus otherwise would just be sitting in my display cabinet. And the one that I really appreciate, I guess, I would be way more upset if the shelf that had the models that someone has given me, than the ones that I made. Like, I made those. But the ones that, like, a friend made for me, they put time in. Like, those are the gifts that, like, I've always been like that. There's a card. I'm gonna have to, like, my mother and I are so different, but so alike. She made a get well card for my wife when she had her wisdom teeth out, and she made it with like construction paper, and it is one of the funniest things I have ever seen. I would have paid so much money for it at a store. Like, and I don't buy cards. Like, I'm like, that's a waste of money. Like, it just looks like a crazy person made it. And I mean that in the single best way. It's so good and original. And it's just like, fuck, that's a good card. Because that's the thing. She was like, yeah, they don't make, you know, oh, you got your wisdom teeth out cards. She was like, I guess I'll just make one. It was just this really angry looking tooth. It was so rad. But that, anything that I can tell people that, like, that they love what they do. I like that kind of stuff. And that's Turbodor. Unapologetically making what they want and marketing it how they want. That is, hell yeah. That's what I'm about. I don't know. I think the moment that when you are like, well, if I pretended to be something different, I would make more money. I think that's the moment that I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm interested. Whoo-hoo. You thought you were gonna tear my glove, but you didn't. You tried. You're trying. This one might have already been scraped a little bit. I thought I scraped these already. Oh boy. But yeah, I'm hoping that it does not rain. Or if it does, that it gets it over with. So I can take these out and prime them. I have really fallen in love with rattle can priming now that I've learned the method of just do it. And also the key is very much the hot water bath. That is the number one, I think. But I've not had a single issue doing the old Texas special, as Kelly and I have been calling it, which is just grabbing the paint can and just going, just specifically doing it in Texas with Johnny in the middle of the street, like a bunch of savages. That's why it's less funny in my backyard, because it's fenced in and no one cares. It's my yard. But yeah, you can't see what I'm doing. Here you go. Scratch, scratch, scratch. So, this one's looking good. I am going to take a knife and go over these before I call it done. Did I already scratch this one off? Thought I did. I did. Yeah, no, I got this one. Yeah, I need to cut that one. And this one. This one looks good. I think that was the first one I did. Sorry, I cleaned it off as well. This one needs to be scratched. Yeah, and again, just doing this because I want as much of the glue to touch the model that's still connected as possible, so we don't have our grit connected to something that's not actually connected, because that means that it will come off while we're playing, or while we are working on it, or any of the others. Also, it might build up too much, and we don't want that. Now, as far as these go, I know some of the pieces are made to go on top of these, and I think that would look pretty sick. So I'm thinking I'm going to use those for that. Okay. Yeah, so after building the New Antioch models, out the gate, yeah, they are definitely the one that's just like they need the most love. Someone needs to make those a little bit more, I think, interesting compared to every other group, because they are cool, but they are solely relying on, like, yeah, we have like cool armor and guns. Because everyone else, it's like, man, I really want to play those guys. Because every single, like, one of like the character kind of models in Kelly's like warband, Kelly is going to play the Heretic Legion. I'm like, these are so much cooler. Like, my dude's just like a guy with a shield and like a little sword, and you have no head, and that's fine. Like, you're stoked about it. You're carrying it around, singing satanic shit. Like, that's pretty cool. I wish one of my guys could do that. Alrighty. I have a very strong feeling that Nick might hop on here and tell me that I should wear a mask for this as well. This isn't as like small and microbial, I don't think, though. It wouldn't be microbial. Or maybe it would be. I hope not. Fingers. Fingers don't cramp on me now. We got a long way to go yet. Okay. Yeah, so then I grab the hobby knife and I'm going to just cut off those mold lines, like the points where the mold lines touch. The rest of the pieces that go on here. I need to figure out if I want to glue those on there now. Oh, they're here. Or if they are better off being on the ground. I think they're better off being on the ground. Okay. Yeah, no, I think I'd rather put sandbags and stuff up here. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah, I'm thinking that. So I'm going to put a bunch of grit all over the walls, building up, but I'm not going to deal with the top until I've got my sandbag situation figured out, because I want these to have some sandbags, and then these. Those mold lines are a little alarming, but I'm not sure. No, I'm going to scrape those too. These. Yeah, alright. I'm going to grab a knife. So I'm going to go ahead and put the cap back on the glue. You know. I wonder what kind of glue you got. Bought it from someone there. But, I mean, PVA glue is typically PVA glue. I bought a large amount of Type Bond, I think. It's the one I normally buy their wood glue, but I bought their PVA glue. Yeah. Type Bond, multi-purpose, all-purpose white glue. I've not opened it yet, but as soon as I run out of this, I will. So, hobby knife. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I changed that blade last night. I did. Okay. So I am just cutting this off. trying to get that nice filed off. This one might have needed a little bit more burring, but I think we can make it work. Inside of here needs to be cut. Yeah, there's these really thick spots that essentially still are on here from where I separated from the sprue without getting shit. Okay. So yeah, the idea was to put grid on here, and I do eventually want to really like get them looking real grizzly, wrapping like barbed wire and whatnot. But I've got to make a lot of barbed wire. I do not have that much made yet. I have a lot, not that much. I kind of want to wait until I have a decent amount to really. Yeah, so here's a mold line, and this is not going to be an issue because we were going to cover that up. But I do like to be just sure, personally, at least on certain spots, because that can really inhibit how realistic that looks. And I don't like to put forth effort into things. The knowing where to put forth the effort, that is the, I guess, the parts of my models. And I mean, with your own, deciding where to put forth the effort, that's a very personal thing. I think putting it in the cleaning and the preparation before I start painting is the most important. Painting is the very last and typically the very quickest part of the whole thing for me. Because again, I try to just think of painting like I do sculpting, but with color, layering, and then washing. I don't do much. I don't do highlighting really, except when I go back. But at least I don't think about it like highlighting. It's more of correcting. But I guess that's called highlighting. I think they're doing it intentionally though, as a, yeah, it's a top layer. Well, I don't do highlighting, no. Not like that. Not like this. So, you're essentially just scraping this stuff off, and I realize that this is not the funnest thing to watch, but I appreciate the company. And we will get into the gritty, the nitty gritty here in a minute. Cut. Any other? There's some here. Now that, these I'm going to cut. That I'm going to leave because that will be covered in grit. So those. These on the side, that was what I was looking at. But I should not even mess with those because again, we're going to come back to do the roof later when I have the what I want to put up there as far as sandbags and stuff figured out. Good. I got that one. I got that one. Okay, I think we are good to go now. All right. And then, just because I saw them, I got the ones on the outside already. It's just these inside. Now that I've seen them, I can't unsee them. And I am glad that I saw them before we started to paint, because grit would not gather there. Like, not naturally. That's when you're looking at mold lines and when it's worth removing them, when it's not. For me, I typically do it instinctively, but whenever I'm really thinking about, like, if I'm on a crunch, I don't remove them if I don't have to. If I am going to cover them, there's no reason to. That's just wasting my time and mental power. But if you don't have a plan for the pieces and you're just cleaning them, removing them, then absolutely get the mold lines. Just because, yeah, they're very hard to hide after you start doing the thing. If you're going for a realistic kind of. Now again, if you're just wanting to get some models out, and that's why these have not been painted yet. I like to play games, so I'm never gonna like shame anybody for like playing their games without painting them. Your goals though, and what you're wanting to do with the hobby, or any hobby really, I think should be that you should think about that. What do you want from what you're doing? If you're just wanting to play a game, not build models, there's a lot of things you could do other than build models. You could play games. There's games you can play that you don't have to build models for. But this hobby is typically sold as a whole package. But it's, not every aspect is not what everybody likes. Personally, I despise the concept of competitive tabletop gaming. It just doesn't make sense to me. Kind of like speedrunning. I've never understood speedrunning except for, I guess there's certain games. You don't speedrun games that you love everything. Because essentially, it's just how fast can you get through the thing you're trying to enjoy the journey on. So I think it has to be something that, and everybody's different, I guess. I'll say that. Just me just thinking and talking. Bloodborne is specifically a game I've seen people speedrun, and I'm just like, man, I hate that. For them. Unless they like that. But there's just so much more to that game, and I feel like it lessens it if you're just trying to get through it as fast as possible. Just looking at it from well, it's challenging. You can find lots of things that are challenging. That doesn't make them good. Bloodborne's not good because it's challenging. More challenging because it's good. It's challenging because it's supposed to be. This Miyazaki believes in a very accomplished and, the feel of that you did it, earning it. I agree with that. And sometimes you just need to get the shit beat out of you by a bigger monster. Sometimes you need to be humbled. Okay. Man, I'm tired of removing mold lines. I didn't think I would be doing that today. This one's good. Last one. And then we will be down to the real nitty gritty. And this is not in the camera again. And I am using the flat part of the blade, so no sharp part here. It's just the back. Just scraping. I believe that these are separate because there are different scenarios in Warcraft and you would use them in different ways. I'm going to leave them separated as well. I don't think that these get glued on. I did glue the stairs because the stairs need to be on the things that need stairs. I'm trying to remember if these were a walkway to get up. I thought they were to get across. Yeah. Maybe up. It's a ladder, I guess. Could be whatever it wants. All right, time to get gritty. No, fake out, sorry. Almost time to get gritty. These I'm not doing the mold lines, I'm just cutting these big plastic chunks off. This, again, the mold lines will be covered in very thin grit, so we won't have to worry about doing that. This is baking soda and stuff. But these pieces of plastic that are just kind of like not where they're supposed to be because that was where the sprue was, those get to come off. And again, not doing it carefully. What the heck? Get out of here. Okay. Switch up the volume. So yeah, we cut out the metal pieces and made the 8-point star. So these are now just rings of metal, and I will have other bits to kind of put in there with the spikes that are on them. Let's see. Okay. All right. All right, that was it. Yeah. Yeah. Well done. Okay, let's get gritty. Okay, you guys get to hang out over here. Actually, let's put you over there. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. I'm pretty much going to grab one of these things. Gross, but malleable. That's pretty gross and malleable. Alright. Stick it in here in this glue. And these, all they have on them is the glue, like as far as these brushes. Like, this one is, I don't like to keep using the newer ones if I don't have to, if I've got one that's still getting broken in. I don't think we're at the level to start the 1-year-old workshops yet. I'll let it soak. So, essentially, essentially just going to be putting all this wet PVA glue all over this. Not doing it very cleanly, not doing it very carefully. It's more of just, I'm just slopping a bunch of glue. And I'm doing it pretty haphazardly. This is just to get glue all over it. I'm going to probably put some water in a little bit to really let it get runny and run down. But this is kind of how I do things. So, from here, I'm going to get some dirt from the floor. Got our dirt from the floor. Oh boy. Yeah, this is one I might need a mask for. I do. All right. It's in my mouth. So, I'm just coming in here and grabbing some of this grit. So, as you can see, just real quick, looks pretty fucking good already, in my opinion. So, it just went from just kind of scratched up to, okay, that's a lot of texture. And obviously there's parts in here that we want to get out, but by having such a varied, like, bowl of trash, essentially, you know, we just got a whole bunch of different texture and grit and size to get off of there. Now, the cat hair, that's in there too, but we're getting off that, so. Can't have the good without the bad sometimes. So, from here, I really like the way that kind of looks, but I'm probably going to switch, do a little bit of baking soda up near the top, just kind of overall, and then I'm probably going to go with the hermit crab spoon. So, baking soda. Alright, there's dirt from the floor. And this is essentially how I do it, like my texturing. And as you can see, this is how dirt from the floor is made. So it's taking a little bit of this baking soda. I'm just doing just a little bit. Then I want to try to sprinkle up near the top. So it's got a little bit of grit in there. Just enough to really kind of wake up the damage that we did. And from here, I might actually start coming in and hitting more of this with glue. These pieces a little too big. That stick, I like that stick better. That piece is too big. Some of these are too big. Any of the hot glue runnings I like to remove as well. I'm the safe boy. It's me. Safe boy, gotta be safe. Yeah, you gotta be safe. And when you're messing with dirt from the floor, yeah, it gets rowdy real quick. I'm gonna sit down. I don't want to lord. I do feel like I need to say like crazy stuff and like turn and look at the distance like, ah. The mask, just the Morton Joe. Oh no, no, no. That's my impression of a Morton Joe when his wife's dead and he's sad. Toe cutter. Yeah. Alrighty. Getting that glue. There's some of these shavings, but I'm not really feeling in here. I'm gonna shake this bad boy up. This is why this is why you gotta be safe for it. Yeah, just the dust coming out of this is heinous. But look at that good grit. Man, I can't believe it's not dirt from the floor. It is. Wow. Now hold on, what's that? Nope, it's still dirt from the floor. Wow. Right off the shelf. Right off the shelf from my home to yours. Huh. That's a piece of metal. And it's in the dirt from the floor. Hot Daniel. What is that? I don't know what that is. Anywho. Beep. So I'm just going to start now layering. I can't believe you didn't buy that good quality dirt. I know, that's some grade A dirt right here. I cannot believe it. Have you ever gone to the store and seen dirt of this quality? Wow. Look at all that hair. This is awful. I'm sorry. Yeah, the hair is not good. If I could do anything about the amount of cat hair in the dirt from the floor, I would. I promise. Here's the thing, though. I won't apologize entirely for it, though, because
the cat hair is how I discovered how to do a lot of really cool stuff. And it was very unintentional, just my cat's hair getting stuck in here. I feel like maybe a little spritz. That looks good. Yeah. Now, I think that looks wonderful. Yeah. Again, thank you, Possum. As always, it's crazy. The sifter and the power of static electricity. I didn't even use static electricity. It was just a sifter. And dirt and glue, or maybe it's all in the which is just glue. It's just glue. But no, yeah, it's I've not done. I started to make my grass applicator, but I did not finish it. I haven't needed to make grass yet, but I will be getting to that because I would like to make some grass. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead. I am gonna get the floor boards, even though they are on the roof technically. They are the part that you see from here. And I am just drizzling them lightly with baking soda. And I'm gonna grab just like the lightest stuff from here, but I don't want any of the crusty stuff. Like that stuff, I don't want that. So I'm gonna shake that off. Oh yeah. Looking good. Yeah, now when these are gonna take paint so good. Like, yeah, seriously, just doing a minimum paint job on this now, we have so much texture and so much grit on here that they're going to look really good, and they're going to look really realistic. That's talking about like Monte Grappa earlier. It's just like that. When you get to the top of the hill, like how that place always looks. Very, that is blue. Very just like the landscape itself is brutalized. Yeah, and there's, again, because this is just literally the dirt from the floor, it's what I've been, every time I make something, I pour whatever, I'm putting baking soda on here over this. This all just gets poured back in. And then at a certain point in time, I do need to get like the bigger pieces out. And then they go into the trash from the bin. But that's so much of like how I make what I make look like what I do it's here. It's layering up the organic mess of just trash, and really embracing the chaos of it. Which I realize that a lot of people are probably thinking, man, that looks like shit right now. And it does, but if this building was in no man's land, it would look like shit. I'm very confident that it'll look like how I'm imagining it once we get some paint on here. So I'm really, grab a different brush. I'm really excited to show you guys that. And I'm really excited to do it. Like, again, I've just been holding on to this shit, but I'm really excited to finally get it done, get it painted, get some games played, and hopefully teach people how to play some games. Hopefully teach a lot of people. I feel like one of these is actually broken. Like I broke it to fit it in my box, but I don't know which piece. I can't figure that out, but I don't know. Not noticeable, I suppose. For me, at least. Again, just coming at it with the dirt from the floor, BB. So that one, I hit from the top with the True Grit, or just the dirt from the floor, all the way just so I can kind of show same kind of concept. You can just then come in with water at the top and do similar to what we did on the other side without actually having to care too much about the top. So if you were wondering at home, but I thought we only did the bottom first. It really doesn't matter. The goal is to get this nasty as quick as possible in a way that seems like it could happen naturally, but we need to kind of like let nature do its thing, because that's how we get that realistic effect of a buildup, letting it flow, that kind of thing. And I can't stress, yeah, you could do it other ways. This is all just a mindset. It's how I make stuff. It's a mindset. I try to keep it zen. Yeah. It's all about pretty much getting what is in my head out and here. So yeah, I think that makes sense. It makes sense to me. That's fun. I like that piece of metal that's just randomly in there. It's a very hard circular shape. Yeah. Yeah, these I am going to come in. I like that a lot. Now, this I think needs to be, that's going to look sick. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and also keep in mind, all this hair and shit, the hair is easier, like these kind of pieces. It comes off, like, once it's dry. It's just stuck in my hands, so. Yeah, and also, this is just white glue, so it's not, you can then come back and hit this with some sandpaper, with, you know, whatever you were using to scratch it up in the first place. Come back and, you know, remove whatever you didn't like on here. This is just the principle of how I make the stuff that looks so caked on. It's because it's really dirt from the floor. But if you do it in the way that I do it, at least, it all is covered in PVA glue. It becomes easier to paint. You get that coat on there, so you don't have to worry about it eating so much paint. As far as what kind of dirt you're putting on there, I'm not selling anything here. I'm just saying this is what I do. I'm probably going to hit that with smaller grit. Leveling, layering, heavier grit, heavier, thicker things that would build up underneath of there. It's just all about trying to replicate nature in the most intentionally unintentional way, if that makes sense. We want to mimic something. No, we want to mimic nature without looking like that's what we're trying to do, which is difficult. You have to kind of embrace chaos and think about things the way you don't think about things naturally. Because this does not look good, but I promise you, it will look very real when we are done. that is my goal. I want this when I hit these lights to look down onto a little world that I've made that looks like I've just taken it out of something else. And I want to be able to zoom in and show you guys stories in that world. And show you how to make your own stories in worlds like that, or worlds that you make. So, yeah. And this is just the first step on that road. It's getting the first table done. So. Yeah, that's gonna look so good. I'm so excited about that. That's gonna look so grizzly. Okay. I think I'm here first. These thicker pieces, I'm gonna go ahead and just clean it out. The wood can stay, as always. Just the bigger pieces of like plastic and stuff, those can kind of be hard to work with. Also, any hot glue. Hot glue is a very specific thing. I do not leave that in my church, my dirt from the floor, because it does not take paint well. So all of that I find, I make sure that I pull out. And that's just like any little streams, that kind of stuff. But because a lot of my stuff messes around with foam and hot glue, inevitably some of it does get in here. The idea is just to try and catch it before it gets too crazy. And I have too much of it. But it does not take paint well at all. And it typically just kind of looks like a big blob. Which, despite how dirty that looks, you would notice. You would notice the big blob. Kind of like, under all of that, how organic and dirty that looks. If there is a mold line that's showing, you will notice it because of how straight and unnatural it will appear in everything else with that building. So I'm gonna just do the bottom here. That would be the hot glue. I'll keep that piece there. Might as well get a little piece of rubble. Alrighty. They are still messing with like digging behind my house. So every now and then I just hear a noise and I can't tell if it is like my cats thumping around or if it's like a couple, 1,000-pound like piece of machinery thumping around outside because I'm in the basement. Okay. I'm just going to get the bottom here. And then we're going to do some baking soda. And we might do some hermit crab sand. Who knows? We'll just see how we're feeling. Aha! This is what I'm talking about. This is the enemy. We don't want that. Get out of here. None of that. Cat hair is not great, but we can get that out. Like, we can tweezer that. The glue. That's another thing with the cat hair. Typically, or my hair, or whoever's hair you're using, as long as you have their consent. Hair is very good. I find some. You don't want it stringing around everywhere because that's extremely distracting. But on frustration, there are definitely intentionally hairs that I glued in certain spots, like tufts of hair that I glued them there because I knew they would help me run the ink in a certain direction, and then it would look very vein-like afterwards, especially the blue ones. Now, given how the end of that turned out, I think it got somewhat lost underneath the gloss of the resin gel that I kind of covered it in, but I still like it. I'm still happy with it. I think it lost some of the detail, but I could fix it if I wanted to, and there's other things I'd rather do. So it was nice seeing you in Golden Demon. Which on that level, anybody that is thinking about, hey, I want to enter that, you should. Okay. It's 11:24. I am hungry. It's almost lunchtime. That's fine. Are you going to stay on there? I don't know. We'll see. Nope, you fell off. That's fine. Oh, that is just this one. I'll move this here. That way I'm more in the center. I'm happy with that. Looks good. So now, with the baking powder or the baking soda going over top of here as well, it also is going to absorb that glue and become almost like a little cement. But it helps. Essentially, I'm using glue on top of stuff that acts naturally to build layers the way that they would in nature, but on a smaller scale, to get that idea of this. I'm trying to replicate what nature does with my dirt from the floor. So that is what our goal here is. So that is why I am dribbling, the baking soda over top of there after we have been covering it and that kind of stuff. I'm going to open up this just to get a little bit more grit, which you can see. And in between still is holding its definition, but hi Margot, I don't know where you are. Yeah, I'm thinking that looks good. Where are you? Margot. She might be upstairs. She does that sometimes. Margot. Hey Margot. Margot. Might have gone a little too hard there. So this one. Hi Margot. I know it is almost lunchtime, but not yet. Are you excited about Trench Crusade, Margot? Mm-hmm. Is your favorite part the trenches or the crusades? Margot! Possum's excited you're here. Oh, hi, Possum. Okay. Margot, honey, we're streaming. We're working on stuff. You know this. Oh, is it all the noise outside? I can hear it now. Yeah, I figured. I know, honey. I'm sorry. Looks like it's gonna storm. Margot. What? Honey, you are being a little unreasonable. Not at all? I don't know if I agree with that. She's just pacing now. Like the apex predator she is. Yeah, I'm talking about you. What are you doing? You don't know? Yeah, she likes screaming. Margot. Crazy girl. Girl, where even are you now? Honey, what? You know we're streaming. Do you want to play Trench Crusade or not, girl? Hmm? Margot. Honey, you're being rude. Okay. Uh, Alrighty, let's see. Oh, little window. Okay, cool, cool. Just wanted to make sure. I keep seeing something popping up down here. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Looks like someone is saying something. I can't hear them. I didn't want to be rude. Okay. Too much. Alrighty. Alright. It's number two. Number two, right? Yeah, it's two of them. Yeah, I'm thinking these are gonna look so sick. The texture on them is gonna be really good. Yeah, I'm stoked. These are gonna look so sick. Okay, so there's those two. So 1, 2, 3. It's 11:39. 20 minutes. I wonder if I can get this one done in 20. My lap is covered in stuff. Baking soda. Baking soda, brown curb sand, dirt can, glue. I think we can do it. Let's do it. 20 minutes. I bet we can finish this one before then. I think I'm going to stop at noon to have food when my wife gets home. So I am hungry. And I'll probably get back on if I've still got stuff to do, which I will. So depending on what I get into after lunch, I may or may not continue it. But I really appreciate everybody hanging out and keeping me company. And if anybody is watching this afterwards, hopefully it is interesting enough. Big mood, I'm starving. Yeah, dude. Yes. Thanks for the stream. No, very, very welcome. Hopefully it has been entertaining. I'm very excited to get to work on these. I like that piece of metal, but I think it should be like this. That'll be good. Get on there. No, okay, well, wasn't meant to be. Or was it? We'll see. So I'm looking at all this stuff, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff on here. I'm guessing that's wood, and I'm just like, the likelihood that a peanut may be in here is pretty high. I eat a lot of peanuts, and my eldest child is obsessed with them, so sometimes I have to be like, Theo, stop, and like I'll drop some. There's every bit likelihood that a peanut did end up in here, and it will end up in the board. So I'm keeping an eye on it for him. Dirty. Boop, boop, boop. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Ba-da-da-da. All right. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have this done. Kelly's gonna get home and I'm gonna be like, hey, let's play Trench Crusade on lunch. And she's gonna be like, what? And I'm just like, I'm just kidding. It's not a real joke. It's just a statement. That's good. He gets to stay. Okay. About to need some more glue. That's looking good. Okay. Like so. After this dries, will you add any other coating to it or just primer paint? Yeah, so essentially once this dries, it is ready for primer. I am, yeah, if I don't add any more, once this dries, it's just straight to primer from here. With the exception of, yeah, like I'm gonna figure out what I want to put on the top. I really like the idea of like sandbags. Or I've also got a bunch of gnarly impaled and like burnt victims like that are like on spikes. So I could go that route too. A bunch of them like kind of up on the top of each of the buildings and out in front of it. I might do that. Well, with sandbags too. That'd be cool. Yeah, I'm feeling that. So yeah, I need to figure out what to do with the top parts, but after that, we're on to painting. And yeah, I'm very happy with how they're looking so far. Looks like what I imagined it would. So. Yeah, some spots definitely need more glue. And a little more built up. If I can touch those up. Yeah, that's good. I'm really liking that. Yeah, here's the first one. This is where it's at. Yeah, the inside of there you can kind of see. The baking soda, it's very, it just kind of blends it, so it can be a very subtle kind of thing. So I might end up doing a little more baking soda here, or I might not. I'm not sure. You can see there, it's, actually I don't even know if I hit this one with baking soda. No, I did. I did, I think. Maybe hit it with one more though. Because it gets absorbed so quickly, it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, that's looking good. No, that's gonna look so good. It's gonna look so good. I'm very excited about this. Okay, so we got 5 minutes. I might call it here just because I have to pee again. And it's 5 minutes before Kelly will be here.
But yeah, thank you guys again so much for being on here with me, hanging out while I've been doing this today. I got a lot done. So yeah, today I will start painting, and then just we'll be playing Trench Crusade tomorrow for sure. Tomorrow or today. But yeah, I've got to figure out what I want to do with these barrels and these crates. But yeah, they're going to get textured as well. I'm not sure if I want to glue them together in stacks or have them be able to be stacked per game, but I feel like having them stacked already is the best bet, just because otherwise that takes a long time. And it cannot look as good sometimes. So yeah, I'll figure that out. And then they won't be as, yep, they wouldn't have the same, yeah, okay, I'm gonna stack them. I'm gonna make them in stacks, piles, barrels, not all of them, but for scatter terrain. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that, do texturing, rest of the stuff, and then I'll be painting. I might pop back up to finish this after lunch, but I don't think I will. I think I might just try to get it as quick as possible. That way I can just do things faster. But I really appreciate everybody popping in, saying hi, and keeping me company while I work on this stuff. Hopefully it was educational and enjoyable. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop it there. But thank you guys so much. Take care. Stay pretty. Until next time.